The reunion had already become tense before the biggest question of the night was even asked. Everyone on the stage seemed to know that something was coming, and every person sitting there looked ready for a fight. You could almost feel the pressure building with every conversation. Small comments turned into bigger arguments, side looks became long stares, and every answer seemed to create two more questions. It was clear that this was not going to be a calm discussion. The cast members had been carrying months of frustration, and now they finally had a chance to say everything they had been holding back. Martell entered the reunion trying to stay confident, but it did not take long before the attention shifted directly toward him. Throughout the season, viewers had watched him make comments about other people's relationships and question what was happening behind closed doors. Some people believed he was simply speaking his mind, while others felt he was creating problems that did not need to exist. That difference of opinion followed him all the way to the reunion stage, and it became one of the biggest topics of the night. As the conversation continued, the host decided to bring up one of the rumors that had been floating around for weeks. It was not a simple question either. It was the kind of topic that immediately changes the mood in the room. Everyone stopped talking, faces turned serious. Even the people who had been arguing just moments before seemed to wait for what would happen next. Before Martell even had a chance to respond, the host looked toward Chris and asked whether he believed Martell was telling the truth. It was a difficult position to be in because answering honestly could damage a friendship, while defending someone could make viewers question your judgment. Chris calmly explained that he did not believe Martell was lying. His answer showed loyalty, but it also opened the door for others to disagree. That disagreement came almost immediately. When Nell was asked for her opinion, she gave a very different response. She explained that her personal experiences with betrayal had taught her to pay attention to behavior instead of words. She admitted that she could not prove anything, but she trusted her instincts. She called it women's intuition and said something about the situation simply did not feel right to her. The room reacted quickly. Some cast members nodded, while others looked uncomfortable. Her answer was based on feelings rather than evidence, but sometimes feelings can influence people just as much as facts. Viewers watching from home could easily imagine themselves asking the same question. If someone has been caught in difficult situations before, should every future denial automatically be believed? That idea became the center of the discussion. One person asked what reason Martell would have to lie. Another quickly responded by asking what reason he would have to tell the truth. Suddenly, the conversation was no longer about one event in Las Vegas. It became a debate about trust, reputation, and credibility. Every person watching had to decide which side made more sense. Then another cast member made a statement that changed the direction of the conversation completely. Instead of focusing on whether the Vegas story was true or false, they talked about Martell's style of communication. According to them, he rarely makes direct claims. Instead, he drops hints, leaves clues, and allows everyone else to fill in the missing pieces. That observation caught everyone's attention because many fans had noticed something similar over the years. A small comment can grow into a major rumor when enough people repeat it. If someone only suggests an idea without saying it clearly, they can later claim they never actually accused anyone of anything. It creates confusion and leaves other people arguing over what was really meant. The cast member described it perfectly by saying that Martell lights the fire and then watches everyone else keep it burning. It was a sharp criticism, and the silence that followed made it clear that many people on the stage understood exactly what was being said. Martell immediately defended himself, but the statement had already landed. As the reunion continued, another surprising comment was made that had viewers talking across social media. Someone looked directly at Martell and asked who on the stage he had not accused of cheating at one point or another. It was a simple sentence, but it carried a powerful message. The question suggested that making accusations had become a pattern rather than an isolated moment. The audience could feel the tension growing. Nobody laughed, nobody interrupted. Everyone waited to see how Martell would answer. Instead of giving a direct explanation, the conversation shifted again. But the point remained in the minds of everyone watching. Once people begin to see a pattern, it becomes difficult to ignore it. Then came the moment that many fans had been waiting for, since rumors about the reunion first started spreading online. The host finally looked at Martell and asked the question directly. Did he have sex with a woman in Las Vegas? There was no long pause before his answer. Martell simply said no. His response was clear and direct. There was no hesitation, no long explanation, and no attempt to avoid the question. He denied the allegation completely. Under normal circumstances, such a firm answer might have ended the discussion, but this reunion was anything but normal. Instead of accepting the denial and moving forward, people immediately started discussing whether they believed him. That difference is important because a denial only works if the audience trusts the person giving it. In this case, trust had become the biggest issue of the entire night. Years of public drama had created different opinions among viewers. Some people felt Martell deserved a chance to defend himself without constant doubt. Others believed his past actions made it difficult to accept his words without proof. Those opinions collided on the reunion stage in front of millions of viewers. The host then turned to Kimmi and Tisha to ask whether they believed the alleged Vegas incident ever happened. Both women answered that they did not believe it occurred the way it had been described. Their responses seemed supportive of Martell, but they also created another wave of debate among fans online. Some viewers praised them for refusing to jump to conclusions without evidence. Others questioned whether friendship and loyalty influenced their answers. Reality television often places people in impossible situations where personal relationships and public opinion collide, and this appeared to be one of those moments. Within minutes of the episode airing, social media platforms exploded with reactions. Fans replayed clips, compared statements from previous seasons, and tried to connect details that might explain the situation. Old interviews resurfaced, past episodes were reviewed. Every expression and every sentence became part of the discussion. For many longtime viewers, this was not just another reunion argument. It felt like another chapter in a story that had been developing for years. The relationships between these cast members are complicated, filled with history that stretches far beyond a single episode. Because of that history, every accusation carries extra weight. Just when it seemed the conversation could not become more uncomfortable, the host introduced another topic involving Martell and Maurice. According to the discussion, Maurice had once challenged Martell with an unusual question. If Martell truly witnessed what he claimed happened, could he describe a very specific physical detail that only someone who actually saw the event would know? The room reacted with surprise. It was not the type of question anyone expected to hear repeated on national television. Yet the purpose behind it was simple. It was meant to test whether Martell's claims were based on first-hand knowledge or assumptions. When Martell explained that he had not actually seen that level of detail, the host quickly followed up with another question. If he did not witness everything himself, then how could he be completely certain about what happened? That exchange became one of the most talked about moments of the reunion because it placed Martell in a difficult position. Viewers who already doubted him felt their concerns had been confirmed. Supporters argued that people can know about events without personally witnessing every detail. The debate continued long after the cameras stopped rolling. By this point, it was obvious that the reunion had become much bigger than one rumor. It was now about honesty, reputation, friendship, and the limits of trust. Every cast member seemed affected by the discussion in one way or another, and nobody appeared completely comfortable. The emotional weight on the stage was impossible to ignore. Some people looked frustrated, others disappointed, and a few simply looked exhausted. Years of shared experiences had created strong bonds, but they had also created deep wounds that were still waiting to heal. As the first half of the reunion moved toward its next major discussion, one thing became clear. The Vegas question might have started the argument, but it was no longer the only issue. Hidden beneath every exchange was a larger question that no one could easily answer. Who in this group could truly be trusted anymore? The deeper the reunion went, the more obvious it became that the Las Vegas conversation was only one piece of a much larger story. Every cast member seemed to have their own opinion, their own experience, and their own version of what they believed had happened. The audience was no longer watching people debate a single rumor. They were watching years of broken trust come to the surface.